Thank you, Scott, and thank you for inviting me here. As Scott said, I'm going to present Vision 2050, and it's not only a vision, it's quite a practical and concrete down-to-earth vision, and it comes with a roadmap. This is something we did in the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, which is a membership organization, 200 multinationals. It was a child of Rio, came out and organized in the business community. And actually Vision 2050 is the platform of the business community going into the Rio Plus 20 conference this summer. We started this some years ago, and really out of confusion. I think what we felt was that there was so much going on. There were so many mega trends, so much talk, so much challenges, so many opportunities. And we, as a group of companies, wanted to give ourselves a tool to understand the future, to really structure our thinking and a platform for strategy. So we gave ourselves 3 big tasks, and they are probably too big to run a project, but that's what we did, and we landed on the feet. So the 3 big questions were, what does a sustainable world look like? How do we get there? And what is the role of business in getting to such a future? We got together a group of 29 companies, including the CEOs. You see the logos here. A very good group, almost all industrial sectors, all geographies represented. And we worked very intensely for 18 months during the midst of the financial crisis. And what we really did, I think that the real value of this work, as I will try to explain, is that we moved from megatrends. Everyone works on megatrends, and we basically see the same megatrends. But what we did was to take one step further, and we did that as a group. We said, okay, if those are the megatrends, and I will come back to them, what are the solutions and successes the world needs for a sustainable and prosperous future? Being these big questions, we try to simplify the structure. So we had some major steps, and I will be walking you through these steps very rapidly in my speech. So the first one we started with was a megatrend analysis. Where are we heading in a business-as-usual world? And we saw the same megatrends as anyone else sees when you do this seriously. We see, first of all, a tremendous growth story. Our sustainability challenges in the world is a result of success. The world is a successful place. We grow. We grow the number of people, the age of people, the wealth of people, the consumption of people, etc., etc. So that's the growth story. Unfortunately, there is an inertia on the solution side. We are not developing the political or the technical solutions quick enough. So the results of this is what we call a degradation. Most of all in the ecological system, the ecosystem services. You can look into any major study and you will find that too many and too important ecosystems are being degraded and undermining our long-term prosperity. So that was the story. And we used 3 pages in our report on this business-as-usual outlook. We used the remaining pages on the solution side. That was also a very clear signal that our view, the roadmap and the vision we wanted to build was about the solutions. What are the solutions needed? So from here, we also saw the growth, the inertia, the degradation. As a group of companies, we then said, we need to sort of sum this up. What's our view on this? And we worked with someone called the Ecological Footprint Organization to build a comprehensive map. And what they showed us, when we summed everything together, was that we are on the path to be consuming 2.3 of planets of natural resources in 2050. Okay. So at this stage in the project, we took a pause. We set down the 29 companies in workshops. The whole project was actually workshops. We did 5 weeks of workshops on very senior people. Okay? And we said, well, we need to have a meaning of this. We need to have a view on business as usual. And it's not really business as usual, it's society as usual. I think business as usual is a bit of a misleading term. It puts all the focus on business, where it's really a societal issue, broader issue. So the conclusion which the business leaders drew here was very simple, and it was no. The main conclusion was no. Business as usual is not an option. For society, in a time period to 2050, business as usual is dead as a strategy, were some of the statements we heard from some of the CEOs. which is a very, very strong message. You know, the path we're on, including the normal rates and the expected rates of innovation, is not enough. We're going to be on 2.3 planets and non-inclusive society as well. Okay. So we said business as usual is dead as a strategy. We need something else. So then we moved on. So we took this and then formulated our vision. And our vision is very simple. It has 3 elements. It's written on the top. The first part of it, the last part, is, well, we have to keep within the budget. There is one planet. We have one planet on natural resources. That's the first part, within the limits of the planet. The second part, the first part, is about population. UN's median projection says 9 billion people in 2050 and sort of peaking there. So we accepted that and said there will be something like 9 billion people in 2050. And the third element of our vision is it's a very high ethical and moral ambition, saying all those 9 billion people should live well. So our vision 2050 is 9 billion people living well within the limits of the planet. And when I present this to NGOs or policymakers or academia, they say, no, that's not your vision, that's our vision. That's not a business vision, that's our vision. Which is good, it's great. And I think there is no disagreement on this level about what is success, which is very important. If there is disagreement, it is about a solution. So from there on, we went to the major part of the work, which is to do, how do you get there? Okay, major work. And the key part then of our report is really this pathway, which is way too condensed for anyone to read. So I'll walk you through sort of the logic of it. It has 9 elements. In reality, when we worked on the project, we worked on everything at the same time. That is probably the uniqueness. You know, normally one slices things up. Water, energy, poverty, pension systems, this and that. In this case, we really try to look at everything at the same time, which is tough. But that's what we did. But when we were to communicate the results, we had to slice it up. So we sliced it up into 9 sectors, and you have them on the bottom. Okay? So the 6 on the right are industrial sectors, are major industrial sectors. Okay? Then, third from the left, you have economy, which is really about the rules of the economic system. On the left, you have two elements which might be surprising in a business vision, but which is very relevant for this conference, and I'm sure many in the audience. Okay? It is about people's values and human development. Okay? We, as a group of companies, I must admit, we were pretty amateurish on some of these issues. Okay? We don't have departments for people's values. We have departments for everything else, but it's not something which companies are particularly well experienced and have extremely depth in the knowledge on. Okay? But as a group of companies, we were absolutely clear that if we're going to map a pathway to a sustainable future, you know, it is not enough with industrial changes and innovation. There needs to be a parallel, supportive and integrated development and innovation in our value systems and the human condition. So that's why they're there. It's very important. Maybe you're not totally sort of overwhelmed by what we say, but I think it's pretty good. It's these, and it's very important. It's on the map. So that's the elements. The next way then to read this map is to start from the top. Okay? So what we did, we took our big vision, 9 billion people living well within the limits of the planet, and we broke it down into the 9 sectors. And we said, what does each sector has to deliver to reach the vision? Okay? Then you start to see something interesting. Then this becomes concrete. Then we see the kind of change, the kind of success the world will have to go through the next 40, 50 years. And personally, which I thoroughly believe we will go through. Okay? So take some sectors which are quite easy to understand. Buildings, third from the right. What does it say? Well, buildings in 2050 has to be zero net energy. Buildings will not and should not consume energy. If they consume energy, they will have to produce the same amount. This is not just an example here and a pilot there. It is the building as such. The building, the whole world buildings platform, okay? That's what's needed from the buildings sector. Agriculture, okay? output double. The vision statement is enough food, biofuels, and fiber for everyone. You can't disagree with that. Okay, that is the vision statement. Okay, but what it means something like a doubling of output. Or FIO says 70% growth. We said 100%. That's in the error margin. But that's something. Okay. On the left-hand side, human development. Billions of people lifted out of poverty. That is what's needed there. So if any one of you is interested in running the world, it's your balanced scorecard. Okay, or your set of KPIs, as we talk about in the business community, key performance indicators. Those 9 success factors, that's what you can run the world on. Then, if you reach those when you're ending in 2050, you've succeeded as a leader. Okay, so I think this is really the value of the work. We broke down what's a sustainable world into concrete action and what kind of success do we need. Next step was then to move on and go back and say, okay, which successes do we need along the way? Okay, again, this is backcasting the methodology. We did not guess what the world will look like. We don't believe in that methodology, okay? And it's not particularly useful for strategy decisions either, okay? This, the company said, was much more useful. If we are to reach this success, what would be needed along the way? And in particular, we focus on the next 10 years. The blue here. We call it a turbulent teen because we think they will be turbulent, and they actually should be turbulent when we get into the mindset of needing this radical change from consuming 2.3 to consuming 1 planet. Okay? And if we look at the world now, it's doing pretty well. You know, it's turbulent enough, many of us would say. It is more than turbulent enough. Okay? What you see then, if you go back, what is needed to reach this target? There is a tremendous innovation. There is a rate of change way beyond what we are used to. There's a rate of change which is almost like taking the IT sector rate of change into the rest of society. That's what we're talking about. Tremendous change. Agriculture, it is a second green revolution needed. That's obviously. You need somewhere between 2 and 3% growth in agriculture output per year, and today we are between 0 and 1. So it's a second green revolution. And it's similar in the other sectors. The way to read this map to get real value is to read across the line, not just one element by each other. And if we do this, we see, if we try to sum up, and again, this is not me summing up, this is the 29 companies talking together about what do we think are needed of success and must-haves in the future. Then we identified 4 major topics that we will need to master in order to get to the successful future. So the first one, in the upper right, is what I've talked a lot about. Okay? It's the resource-efficient transition and social inclusive. There's 2 huge elements. Social inclusive, bringing billions of people into the pleasures of the market, the successes of the market, the goods that an efficient market can deliver, a rightly structured market. Okay? So we see here, there are tremendous changes. Double the energy production, double agriculture output, half the CO2. On material efficiency, we need to be 4 to 10 times as efficient, the value we get out of a unit of aluminium or steel or paper or whatever. Okay? Lower right, true costs. This was our big policy message and our big policy wish. As companies, multinational companies, we were true believers in the market economy, but we're playing on the wrong rules. Okay, we're not playing according to the right rules. We don't pay the right price for resources, water, pollution, ecosystem services. Okay, so we were asking from the policymakers, give us the right rules and let's play the game according to the right rules. Then we get a sustainable future. This is very hard. I mean, we can see the struggle on getting to CO2 prices. Okay, but we should not be depressed just because we don't get a global CO2 price. There are a lot of promising true costs popping up, but they're coming sort of bottom up rather than top down. Okay, there is true cost movements in the world. Lower left, this is also very relevant for the Partnership for Change. What the company said was, in order to reach all the great things in the upper right, technological innovation will be crucial, but it's not enough. Okay. We will need to combine absolutely all kinds of effective innovation to deliver these solutions, and in particular in what we call integrative innovation, where you bring things together. So it's technical innovation with business models, with consumer lifestyles, with social innovation, with financing models, with policy. All these kinds. Many of the solutions will need to deliver this. Okay? And also, I'm sure this conference is about social innovation. When I have more time, I normally stop here and I ask the audience, which kind of innovation will be most important to deliver these changes? And the answer I get every time is social innovation. 60 to 70% says social innovation, including audiences where you have the heads of R&D in the biggest European companies. I don't think any corporate agenda, innovation agenda, reflects that. We have a major focus on technical innovation. So if it's true that this social innovation is so important, there will be a huge shift on how we drive innovation and complement the technical to get this integrative. Upper left, also very relevant for the Partnership for Change. All 29 companies said, we will have to collaborate much more in the future. Joint ventures, partnerships, etc., will be the normal way of doing business. It will be a mess, but it will be the normal way. It is much harder to do joint ventures than to run things themselves. But they said, and why? Why is this collaboration focus? Because we suddenly have become so benign and love each other much more? No. This is a collaboration to compete. Okay. The challenges, the successes needed on the pathway to Vision 2050 are so big, so we will need, not even the biggest of the multinationals can do it alone. There will need to be partnerships. Partnerships between companies and NGOs and governments or cities or regions or whoever are useful for delivering these solutions. And I'm sure we will hear in the next speakers real-life examples of what these partnerships look like. It's a very, very fascinating topic, and you will see there's a new generation of partnerships. They deliver. Thank you very much.